through 3. What's the first word in chapter 12, verse 1? Therefore. Okay, what does that mean? What is the therefore? Okay. Anybody? He's doing what? He's drawing a conclusion. And I believe that he's drawing a conclusion of the whole letter of Hebrews up to this point. So I thought just for a moment we need to talk about what we have learned in the book of Hebrews, and in 2 words, 3 words, Jesus is superior. In fact, there was a series of sermons I preached on this some years ago, and the title was Why Settle for Less Than the Best? And that's what these people were doing, and I think that's what we do sometimes, is we settle for less than the best. We settle for our religious thinking, our speculations, our traditions, and don't have the freedom of having to worship Jesus. In the previous verses of Hebrews, and you'll see, the way the writer of Hebrews puts it, you'll see him use the word better. That Jesus is a better mediator, he is a better temple, he is a better revealer. He just goes on that he is superior to the messengers that God had used in the past, of the angels of Moses. He's a superior high priest. He's in a superior revealer of the will of God, and sprinkled all through that book are some warnings that he gives to these people, because they are in danger, if not already. They're going to end up just coming to church, going through the motions, doing whatever they usually do, and settle for that. And if they settle for that, if we settle for that, we are going to settle for less than Jesus. And then we are going to find ourselves settling for less than salvation. And he was trying to bring them back. So he's going to draw all this together, and basically what he's going to tell us in chapter 12, for the most part, is keep your eyes on Jesus. Not on the preacher, not on anything else, but on Jesus. And that's where it will keep us safe. If we keep our faith in him, we keep our eyes on him, then we are going to have the best that God has to offer. It is my concern, and I think well found, I talk, during the course of a month, I talk to a lot of people from a lot of churches about a lot of things. Okay? That's what happens when you get old. They think you know something. Not that you do. No strawberries next time you're at my house. Yeah, I heard it. But there are not a lot of people that take Christianity as serious as we need to be taking Jesus. Take it or leave it type attitude. Okay? Talk about how the church doesn't do this right, or they don't do that right, and they haven't gone to church in a long time. They don't remember why not. They just know they haven't, because basically, and I get people, you know me, I'll say stuff to get people to react to it. And I'll just tell them, oh, I thought maybe you just didn't believe in Jesus anymore. That always goes over well. Okay? But I get their attention. Okay? So what is happening here, and I think, I know how to say this, I am not a negative person, but I believe that not only Centennial Christian Church, but a lot of churches are in a critical spot right now. I think we're in a life and death struggle for our existence, is what I think. Okay? And I see, and God board members, and you understand this, I see a lot of churches making some really poor decisions. And I'm concerned that we might too. And once you start going down the road, look around. You know, there used to be 21 Christian churches in Iroquois County with full-time ministries. Now, count on one hand. And it's not because we're bad people. It's just we're not holding on to this. And what we're doing right now is that we are passing the baton to the next generation. And my concern is, what kind of Christianity are we passing to the next Christianity? Oh, come to church when you feel like it? Wayne Smith was a minister down in Kentucky, and he always said, I'd rather have members crawl in sick than call in sick. Okay? We have to show the world that it's important to us. They're not going to realize how important it is. Our words become empty if we're not showing that it's important to us. And that's got to be first. It's like the lady, I don't know how well you know the Civil War, but there was a march to the ocean by General Sherman. And he went through Georgia and just kind of cut the Confederacy in half. Can I still say Confederacy? We don't want that to be in our history anymore. We're trying to take that out. Okay? But there was a lady that was standing in an alleyway with a broomstick. And every once in a while, as the soldiers, Northern soldiers came marching through, she stuck the broomstick out and tripped a couple of them. Guy there, you're not making any difference. She said, I'm showing which side you're on. And I think at the time as Christians that we need to show which side we're on. That if it's not that important to me, I'm not going to be able to convince Justice that it should be important to him, right? Okay? They want to see what's happening, and that's what the writer of Hebrews wants with these folks, that it's really serious, and we need to take it really, really serious. And part of the problem is that the salvation of could be many people are at risk by how we react, what we decide to do. Okay? So how important is it? How serious are we about Jesus? There was two gas men that were checking out meters in this particular neighborhood. Older guy had been there with a lot of experience, younger guy and newer. And the younger guy was always making fun of the older guy about how old he was. I never had that happen to me, except for right now. Okay. So when they got done checking the meter was fine, and they were ready to go back to the truck, and the truck was parked down along the street there. The older guy challenged the younger guy to a race. You think, I'm so old, I'll bet you I can keep up with you. So that's what they did. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go, and they're running down the street, and they get almost to their truck, and they look around, and the lady that lived in that house is running right along beside them. And they get there, and they turn away and say, what are you doing? Well, when I see two gas men running as fast as they can from my house, I need to be running too. How important is it? How serious are we about the situation that we're in? It appears to me many times that there are people that, hey, I became a Christian 50 years ago, no problem. I'm going to heaven, no doubt. Now, we claim we don't believe in one saved, always saved, and I do not, but we seem to live it. Okay? Not interested in growing anymore in my faith, not interested in serving more. I made a decision years ago, and I'm on my way. Not a chance in the world that I'm not going to meet there. Okay? So what do we do here in chapter 12, verses 1 through 3? Robin, you can read it, would you? I caught you off guard there. You had more important things doing right now, I see that. Sorry, Des. They read along for the second time, and that's okay. Hebrews 12, 1 through 3.
Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that is so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that he will not grow weary and lose heart.
Thank you. So what I want to do just for a little bit here is we're going to go through and see what the writer of Hebrews wants. He says, let us do these things. Okay? Now, the implication is, when he says, let us, he is saying you're not doing this. That's the implication. And he's trying to bring them back to where he wants them to be. Now, this is supposed to be working, and First of all, let's remember the heroes of faith. Okay? That's why he says there are a cloud of witnesses, not silent witnesses. These are people that can attest. You tell me, what can they attest to? When we go all the way back, chapter 11, verse 1, these witnesses are going to attest to what? Pardon me? Okay. They made it through the race. They got across the finish line. So the implication there is what? If they can, so can I. There is nothing greater than to talk to someone who has been through something and successfully endured it. Won't mention any names. There's a young boy that had an eye injury several years ago, ended up having to have his eye removed. And he's a really nice young man. His family, very close friends of mine, down at Carl just almost every day. Because this is the worst, he was the only child, this is the worst thing they could think of that could happen. But I'm sitting in the room with this child, and he's about, I say a child, he's probably about 10 or 12 at the time. And there's someone, a nurse calls up and says, there's this gentleman, I don't even remember his name, that wanted to see you. And I turned to the young man and said, "Do you know him?" And he said, "No, but have him come on up," and asked me to stay, because he wasn't sure who it was. So he comes in, he sits, and he finds out he's a friend of his father. And while he's talking to him, folks, just in the conversation, he takes his last eye out. All the difference in the world. Why? Because this young man just saw somebody going through what he went through and had made it successfully. I could have talked to this young man forever and could never have identified with him. Well, the writer of Hebrews says that these people you can identify with, because most of these people, we know their name, don't we? We know the Davids and the Noahs and the Moses and those people. Okay? So we need to remember the heroes of our faith. But folks, not only in the Bible. I can stand here and tell you a lot of names of people in my life that were the heroes of their faith, that saw their way through, that lived the way that God would want them to live. And it was an inspiration to me. You know, one of the people I've shared with you many times was Molly Butzow. What a lady. Made all the difference in my book. Okay? And you do too, right? You know, I was going to mention some of the great men that we've had in this congregation. I'm afraid I'll miss somebody. But there are a lot of good men that we have had in this church that have served God in a great way, and they were men of faith. And that we can be inspired by what they are doing and what they have done. If these people could accomplish what they did, then we can accomplish what we can and not quit. Not quit. You know, it appears to me that we see a couple of different pictures of races here. One of them is a relay race. What is the most critical time in a relay race? Passing of the baton. And every generation goes through this, ever since Jesus formed the church. Okay? It is Paul that writes to Timothy, teach the truth to men that they may teach others. Okay? That it's never to be that we're going to just keep this to ourselves. That we're going to pass this on from generation to generation. The only reason this church is here because of the past generation of people that were faithful, that served God in a real way. I know the kids in camp sometimes don't agree with decisions I make about certain things they want to do. And I said, well, there could be some older people that would not appreciate that if they would come out and see you dancing or whatever, and they would say, oh, those old people. Well, I don't take that very well because I'm one of them now. But it's those old people is why that camp is still there. Because of their faithfulness and their decision to support that camp in a great way. This church is here because of people in our past that have been faithful to God and continue. and pass the baton. But folks, it's getting to the point where it's our turn now to pass that baton. And how are we going to pass it? What if it's dropped? And I'm seeing that happen in a lot of churches. I'm not blaming anybody, because I don't know what happens in different churches. I don't pass judgments that they did something wrong. I don't know that. There's a lot of things that are changing, and I think one of the things that we have to see as a church is that we're going to have to change the way we make decisions. We're going to have to change the methods that we use, because this world is changing. And to reach those people, we're going to have, not the message. If you want to kill the church, that's the first thing you can do is to compromise the message. Eventually, it's going to die, there's no doubt. Okay? But remember the past. Build upon the past, knowing that it's now up to us, not anyone else, that we can reflect upon the past Christians that we have known, that we read about, and they were able to accomplish great things because they endured in their faith. This is not always a fun thing to do in our Christian faith. Sometimes it is very difficult, very difficult. Okay? But we have to make that decision. We're sticking to it no matter what. We made that decision. We told Jesus at one point in time in our life that we were going to remain faithful, that we were going to serve him in the best way that we could serve him. And we need to keep running that race of faith. They never gave up. And their lives, if we will study God's Word, if we will look at the lives of people, their lives will inspire us. They will motivate us. One of the greatest people that I've ever had in my life that inspired me was Dick Hughes. He was a minister that won me to Jesus. And he was a very aggressive guy, very involved, very committed to what he was doing. And he taught me some lessons very well. In our society now, if things don't go well, you just got to run, right? If I get upset here, I'll just go to church somewhere else. It doesn't matter what's taught. It doesn't matter anything. But we need to look and make the same decision that we're going to fight this fight all the way to the finish line. We're going to finish the race. Times maybe that we feel like we could drop out. But we'll talk about that here in just a moment. The second thing, let us throw off the hindrances and sin that entangles us. Now, I hope that will work out. Okay. Hindrances does not necessarily mean something that's sinful. It's something that gets in the way. It's something that keeps me from living the way God wants me to live. Anything that distracts me from running the race. Anything, basically the message is that anything that gets in my way of drawing close to Jesus needs to be done away from my life. Okay? And we each have to make that decision on our own. The more that we set aside in our life and concentrate on Jesus, the more we're going to serve, the more we're going to be blessed in a great way. You know what my favorite channel is on TV now? YouTube. Yeah. You should know that. Yeah. We know what yours is, but Netflix, man. Why? I don't listen to Fox News anymore. I still can be a Christian, can I? And not do that. I would rather hear Casting Crowns singing on Sunday. That's what I hear on Sunday mornings. There's some guy on the radio at 7 that I never listened to him. Already heard him before. Okay? Because, well, one of the most depressing times I have all day is when I hear the news. Okay? Man, what's going on around the world? Why would I want to fill myself with that kind of stuff? Okay? But there are things, there's movies I don't go to that I think I would like to see because they disagree with biblical truth. TVs, they call them situation comedies, and I really see nothing humorous about them at all. They go after every form of lifestyle that is good and make it something that they're stupid because they believe in God. They're stupid because they're moral. They're stupid. Because I don't need that. I don't need that in my mind anymore. There's a lot of good quality things that we could look at that we don't have to get into that. But how badly do I want to get rid of it? How badly do I want to take that out of the way that's in my way as far as Christ is concerned? It's not necessarily wrong, because he talks about the sin that entangles us separately from these hindrances that we encounter. Maybe it's friendships. Maybe I spend too much time with non-Christian people. I get a bad influence in my life. Maybe that can be a hindrance to me. Maybe it could be my religious traditions that are keeping me from enjoying the freedom of Christ that are getting in the way. If it's anything that does not make me stronger in Jesus, then maybe it's something that ought to be dismissed. But that's going to be my choice. I'm not going to stand out there and preach to you that you can't do this or that. That's up to you. You're going to have to decide how free you want to be to serve Jesus. You're going to have to decide how much energy you can go with to serve Jesus in a real way. You see, what happens is, if you're like most people, there's only so much energy that you have. And we take a lot of stuff and spend a lot of energy towards things that are not positive for Christ, that are not helpful in those things. And that we start putting those things more importantly than Jesus. It is difficult. It's impossible to run a race when you're weighed down with extra stuff. Okay? I can't remember the last time I watched track and field on TV that the runner, the high jumper, had a target on. I don't remember the last time that I saw them have a snowsuit on. What do you see when the runner is running his race? Least restrictions possible. Least restrictions possible. And that's the way it's got to be for our life with Jesus, because it's a pretty hard life to live sometimes. It's a hard direction to go sometimes, and we need to be able to exert all the energy that we can. So he wants us to throw off the hindrances. He wants us to throw off the sin. That's obvious. That's obvious. Sin is what keeps us from running the race. Sin is why we stop running the race at times. Okay? And then the third thing, he wants us to run the race marked out for us. Now, that's important, because we have decided ourselves that we're going to run our own race. We're going to set the directions. We're going to set the course of our own race. So what does he say to us about the race? It's already been set up. You know, we watch a NASCAR race. The drivers don't sit down right before the race to decide what the track's going to be. NASCAR already has it all figured out for them. Well, wouldn't it be a shame if one of the drivers decided to go the other direction? And he wants to turn right all the time instead of left. What's going to happen? Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt, aren't they? Okay? So when I decide to live my life the way I want to and do whatever I want to, somebody's going to get hurt. Because that's not the route that God had planned for us. That's not what he has set up for us. Our decision making is to run the race, not to decide what the direction is. Not to decide what the course is. God's going to lay it out for you. And that's what we need to do. The race that is listed here is called the agony race. That's the Greek word is the word agony race. It's the idea of a marathon, 26 miles, okay? So they know that it's marked out for us. We need to persevere through the trials. I don't watch NASCAR nearly as much as I did, but there's so many times we've watched a race where somebody had a wreck, had to fix their car, and then eventually they're right back up to the front again. And all through all the trials and all the problems that they went through, they worked their way through that and still ended up in the race. That they could win the race after all these things. That we need that perseverance through the trials. I've never really been too inspired by a quitter. When Moses sent the 12 spies into Canaan, the two that had faith were Joshua, okay? Somebody named the other 10 that didn't have faith. The quitters never inspire us. They cause us to quit ourselves. They discourage us because of that. That we need to be people that are inspired. So he is saying to us, don't quit, don't give up, don't give out. Run with perseverance until you cross the finish line. And that is when we take our last breath or when Jesus comes back. That's when we quit. We're all concerned about retiring sometimes, and we are not animals that don't work. How many times we have seen people retire and quit working, and it's not very long. It's not very long because their health is going and everything else. Okay? Perseverance. Perseverance. Here's one of the guys on the, who is this? What? George Washington. Okay. That's why I have Madison here. She's smarter than all of us put together. Okay. George Washington. How many battles did George Washington fight in the Revolutionary War? Anybody? See, you don't know that. 9. 9 major battles that he fought in the Revolutionary War. And folks, he lost 6 of them. But he didn't quit. He ends up winning 3 major battles that shifts the whole scene of the Revolutionary War. Because why? One reason why. Tell me. He didn't quit. He didn't quit. He made mistakes, but then he went right back. He kept fighting the battles, and finally, he's going to win. There was a young man, that 15-year-old young man. He was a sophomore. He was 5'11", and he wasn't the best basketball player, but he wanted to play basketball. So he went out sophomore year and tried to get on the varsity team, but he wasn't good enough to play. He got cut off the team. But he went home and he said, I decided I was never going to feel that way again. I was never going to take a blow like that again. And folks, he started playing basketball all summer long. He worked out very, very, very much so. He was completely dedicated to it. And the next year, he made the varsity team. He averaged 25 points a game for the next 2 years. Became McDonald's All-American. And in Joe's opinion, the best basketball player ever, Michael Jordan. Why? One reason why. He didn't quit, Mary. That's right. He didn't quit. Okay? He could have just put his tail between his legs and walked away from that sophomore year of school. But he didn't. He decided, I'm not going to fail at this again. I'm going to accomplish what I want to accomplish. And it wasn't anything other than he didn't quit. He kept working at it. I just saw on YouTube, there's other things besides music on YouTube. A gentleman that I've known about him, he was a celebrity for many, many years. But that he was, his dad died 2 months before this gentleman was born. And his mom and him lived in this, it was a building and a store that was together. That's what he grew up in his home. And he had his uncle burnt the place down and put him out on the street. He got married, had a son at 10 years old. His son died of leukemia. And he contracted some kind of problem with his legs. And for 48 years of his life, he had to wear steel braces. He couldn't even get up without those steel braces. His wife contracted a very painful disease and took her own life on the very day, 10 years afterwards, after her son died of leukemia. And I thought it was very touching to me. She chose that day. She wrote him a letter. She chose that day so that he would only have to feel sad one day out of the year instead of 2. Okay. Anybody know who I'm talking about? Let's go. Unbelievable. He lived to be 84, and he did an interview on YouTube with some kind of Canadian show. What this man went through, unbelievable. How talented he was, unbelievable. He sleeps 3 hours a night. I mean, you don't have to listen to the interview, but what he went through, and I would argue, and I'm always right, best comedian that ever lived. He was a believer in Jesus. I appreciated so much what he said. He would not allow any special that he did to be on with any comedian on either side of his TV show that used vulgarity. If they did, he canceled the whole thing. He was done with the whole thing. He was an artist. He made jewelry. I mean, you just go on and on. He did stage plays. He did movies. HBO had a movie out with one called Christmas Dinner. Did any of you happen to see that? Freddie Freeloader. He wrote the music. He wrote the music, the songs, the lyrics, all of that. And he became this great, great ambassador of goodwill, not just a comedian. Why? How many of us would just sat down and quit going through some of the things that he went through? So why is Red Skelton one of the great comedians of all time, if not the greatest? Because he didn't quit. That's right, he didn't quit. And that is what the writer of Hebrews is trying to get across to us. To get across to us. To just keep going. It's not always going to be a great day. It's not always going to go the way you want it to go. There's a lot of days like that. Okay? But just don't quit. Just keep at it, keep at it. And you'll be surprised, how many times I've told God that, boy, I'm tired. I can't do any more right now. And you know what God keeps telling me? Oh, yeah, you can. Just try and see. Just try and see. If it's His power, if it's His will, there's a whole lot more involved in this than just us. Yeah, sure, we get tired. Sure, we get tired. But let us run the race that's marked out for us. The Apostle Paul, he's going to strive, he's going to pursue, he's going to press forward. Those are really strong words that he uses there in Philippians 2. He's getting all his energy. And if you listen to my programs, when it was about the Apostle Paul being converted to Christ, one of the greatest events in all of history that changed history was the conversion of the Apostle Paul. The world was not the same because of this man. They decided he could do what he could do for God. And I would suggest to you, folks, I don't care who you are, you have no idea what you can do for God if you decide to do it. If you don't put your own limitations on you, saying, there's no more I can do about this. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And that God will show you the way. He will accomplish the will. He sets out the race for you, the course, and we can run it in a great way. A great way. I press on. I pursue, forgetting what lies behind and straining toward what is ahead. He's not going to quit. He does the same thing, 1 Corinthians chapter 9. He's not going to live his life aimlessly. He's not going to go here and there or whatever. He's got a decision that he has made that he is going to serve God in the greatest way that he can. And you can read the book of Acts and you can read Corinthians and see all that this man went through. Because he decided he wasn't going to quit. So, folks, put yourself in modern day the Apostle Paul. If I took you over to Cameron, Indiana, set you out on the streets, and now you go preach to people, anybody you see at the stores and stuff, you go talk to them about Jesus. And when you get done that day, the people of Cameron have thrown you out the city limits, beat you up, left you there for dead. And then you get up and you walk the shelter. and the same thing happens to you. How far on Route 24 are you going to get before you stop? And it's okay, because the Apostle Paul only did that for 30 years of his life. Put in prison, beat up, robbed, kicked, attempted to kill him in different ways. I would suggest to you that none of us, including me, have any idea what our limits are. I have no idea if we get behind God and allow God's Spirit to lead us, how far we can go. Sure, you get tired. That's when we think about ourselves. That's when our motives get messed up. That's what I believe burnout is your motives are incorrect. That's why you get tired, because you think about you. All those things. Okay? Run the race. Run until it's over. Run until it's over. Coach Baldwin, my basketball coach in Rossville, he would say, no, you can quit the team if you want to, but what's going to happen is when you start quitting the team, then you're going to quit your girlfriend, and then you're going to quit your breathing, and then you just keep quitting once you start. And my boys, if they were here, would tell you that when they did anything, they had to stay with it until it was over with. Didn't have to go next year, but you're not quitting in the middle of this year. Okay? Because quitters never win, winners never quit. Okay? Just keep. There's no reason to quit. God is going to be there. God is going to be there. Then he says to us, let us fix our eyes on Jesus. Not a glance. Look at him and see who he is. The fix, keep looking. What is our focus on life? What do we concentrate on life? That's what we have to look at. You look at the faith of all these heroes that we see in chapter 11 of Hebrews, all together. They don't match the faith of Jesus. You think you got bad? Read what Jesus went through. Even to the point of death, he was willing to do that. He was going to finish the race. When he cries out in John 19, it is finished, that's one word. And what it means is it's not that he has died. He's completed the course. He has done what he was supposed to do. He has fulfilled. And that is what the writer of Hebrews is wanting from us, is that we will be willing to lay everything aside and do what he wants. The other day, I took Madison and Owen to Walmart to buy groceries. Check this out. And from the time we got out of my car till we got to the door of Walmart, what I keep saying to you, especially on the YouTube, watch where you're going. There's cars and stuff that are not going to be watching. Watch where you're going. That's what the writer of Hebrews is trying to get across to us. Watch where you're going. Watch what you're looking at. Where's your target at? Where's your goal at? Watch where you're going. Because it's impossible to look two directions at once. We're going to focus. We're going to focus on Him. How seriously are we taking our faith in Jesus? In John chapter 6, he wants us to consider Jesus. John chapter 6, we have the bread of life sermon. There's 3 of them in there that Jesus preaches. And all the people are looking for is free lunch. And Jesus begins to talk about how he is the bread of life, that outside of him there is no spiritual life. That we need to grab hold of him. And it says in verse 66 that at that point in time, that some of them left and followed Jesus no more. Now, they just didn't walk away from him there in John 6. They walked away, period. So can you imagine having a church service where you've got over 5,000 people listening to the preacher preach, and in the middle of the sermon, all but 12 of them get up and walk out? That would be, there'd be a board meeting and fire the preacher. Okay. But then Jesus turns to those 12 disciples. And what does he ask them? And what was Peter's response? Where else do we go? Where do we go? Where you have the words of eternal life. So if we're going to give up on Jesus and we're going to quit, where are we going to go? Who else offers us what Jesus offers us? Do you remember a movie called Officer and Gentleman? Will Geer, and I forget who else. The story of a guy in the military. But it doesn't go well for him. I'm not going to, because that's got to be probably 30 years ago, really. But there was a time that the drill sergeant wants this young man to quit. He's doing everything he can to get him to quit. And he's out, it's pouring rain, and he's doing sit-ups and all these exercises, and he keeps saying to him, quit. Quit. You know what he says to him finally, the young man? I've got no place to go. If we turn from Jesus, we don't have any place to go. Our eternity is done with. How serious do we take our faith in Jesus? What kind of commitment are we going to run the race to the very end? That is the question that we have to answer. We have our hymn of invitation this morning. It will revive us again. And maybe that's what we need. I don't know. You'll have to decide for yourself what we need. And that we need to get serious about what we call this Christianity. Not take it or leave it anymore, but decide we're going to make that decision. That we are going to finish the race. And do that by keeping our eyes on Jesus. Let's stand together.